to Through the Bible. Let us listen to the story of David's son Absalom, who steals the kingdom from his father. Absalom rebels. 2 Samuel chapters 13 to 18. God had told David that he must suffer for his sin, and it was not long before those sufferings began. David had many sons by his other wives. Not all David's sons were good men. It seems that some of them were really wicked, and at times there was such hatred among them that they even murdered. One of the sons was called Absalom, and he was the handsomest man in all the land, and very proud of his looks too. Absalom's mother was Maacah, daughter of the king of Geshur. Another of David's sons, by a different wife, was called Amnon, and Amnon loved Tamar, who was Absalom's sister. Instead of asking for her as his wife, he treated her in such a shameful way that she hid herself in Absalom's house. Absalom heard what had happened, and he was full of hatred for Amnon and planned to pay him out. One day he received news that Amnon and his family were having a great feast. So he sent out his servants, and Amnon was slaughtered in front of his guests. When David heard the news, he was very sad and angry with Absalom too, although Absalom was his favorite. The news of David's anger reached Absalom, so the young man decided to leave the land for a while, and he went to live in the land of Geshur. David, although longing to see Absalom again, could not forgive him. Joab, the commander of David's armies, tried to resolve the problem by inviting a wise woman to see David. The woman arrived dressed as a widow in mourning clothes. I had two sons, she explained, but they got into a fight and one killed the other. Now everyone is saying, hand over the son who murdered so we can put him to death for taking the life of his brother. This son is all I have. Go home and I will issue an order to stop them killing your son, said David. The wise woman then said, when the king says this, does he not convict himself? For the king has not brought back his banished son. David knew this was Joab's idea to bring back Absalom. After 2 years, Absalom cleverly managed to meet his father, King David again, and David kissed him. But in his heart, Absalom was an evil and unthankful man and cruel. He was planning all the time to take the throne away from King David. Absalom became very proud. He provided himself with chariot and horses and 50 men to run ahead of him. Everyone praised him for his handsome appearance. Absalom was particularly proud of his hair, which he cut once a year. The weight of the cut hair was 2.2 kilograms. Absalom began with a very clever scheme too. Each morning he got up early and waited beside the city gates for any men who might come from different parts of the country to discuss their problems with the king. There he would treat them like real friends, and because he was the king's son, they felt highly honored. When they told him their problems, he would say, "Oh dear, but there is no one who will listen to you from the king downward. If only I were king, I should see to it that there was justice for all, and all could come freely to me." So gradually Absalom turned the people of Israel against his father. By the time he had done this for 4 years, Absalom felt ready to drive David out. He went to the king and asked permission to go to Hebron. Absalom used the opportunity to send spies throughout the land and tell the people to be ready for a change of king. He went on to Hebron, and there he was joined by one of David's best advisers, Ahithophel, who had decided to turn against his own master. Before long, it seemed that the whole nation was turning against David to follow Absalom. The terrible news reached David, and he told his servants they must all flee. So they fled from Jerusalem, just a little party of servants, with David's wives and especially Bathsheba and her young son Solomon. When the sad little party left the city gates, they found moving with them 600 soldiers under the command of Ittai, one of David's generals. So David's party crossed the river Kidron and went toward the desert. A little while after them followed Zadok and Abiathar, the priests from the temple, with a group of Levites bringing the Ark of the Covenant. They wanted to be sure the Lord would be with David. But the king said, "Take the ark back into the city. If the Lord favors me, he will bring me back, and I shall see the ark again." Then he asked the priests to return to Jerusalem and to listen carefully to what was said by Absalom and his men, and then to send messengers to let David know. When David reached the crest of the Mount of Olives, he met Hushai, one of his best friends. Hushai was bitterly grieved over what had happened. As a sign of his sorrow, he had torn his coat and rubbed ashes in his hair, and he was ready to go with David into the desert. But instead, the king sent him back to Jerusalem to mingle with Absalom's men and to pass on all he heard to Zadok and Abiathar, the priests. A little further on, the king met Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth. You will remember that he was the crippled son of Jonathan, to whom David was so very kind. Ziba had brought with him 2 donkeys for the king, 200 loaves of bread, 100 bunches of raisins, and a large amount of fruit for the rest of the men. But he had also brought sad news for the king. After all David had done for him, Mephibosheth had gone over to Absalom's side, thinking that the throne might be given to him. When he heard this, David gave to Ziba the servant all the property and land that had belonged to Mephibosheth. What David did not know was that this was all a terrible lie. Ziba was the traitor, not Mephibosheth. The crippled prince would be loyal to David through thick and thin. When David's party was passing a place called Bahurim, a man called Shimei, a member of Saul's family, came out of the village and began to mock at David and throw stones at the weary and sorrowful group of people trudging along. Shimei called David a man of blood who had stolen away the throne of Saul and was now getting back some of the treatment he had given others. Abishai, one of David's servants, was very angry about this. He wanted the king's permission to go and kill Shimei for his bad words, but David would not let him. Perhaps the Lord wants him to curse me, he said. My own son hates me and wants to take away my life. Why should it be strange that a member of another family hates me also? Leave him alone. It may be that the Lord will be merciful to me and one day bless me to make up for this man's curses. David left Jerusalem only just ahead of the arrival of Absalom with all his followers and the traitor Ahithophel. When they reached the palace, Hushai came out to meet Absalom and cried out, God Save the king. Absalom was a little puzzled and asked Hushai why he had not left with his friend David. But Hushai answered that he would serve whoever was chosen to be king by the Lord and the people of Israel. As he had served the father, so he would serve the son also. Then Absalom turned to the adviser Ahithophel and asked him what he should do now. Ahithophel answered that Absalom must give him 12,000 men and he would set out after David that very night while he was still tired and weak. He would only kill David so that there would be no civil war in the land and Absalom would be safe on the throne. The idea pleased Absalom and his men, but Hushai felt differently. He said, "You know your father David and his men. They are mighty warriors, and when their anger about a matter is still fresh, no one will be able to overcome them. But once their anger has cooled down, we shall be able to conquer them without much bloodshed. My advice is for us to wait until all our supporters from all over Israel have gathered. Then we will be able to make a strong attack, and not so much as one of David and his group will remain." Absalom and his men decided to listen to Hushai, which was the worst thing they could have done, because now they were giving David the chance to escape and gather his forces. But Ahithophel was bitter about this. Now he was neither David's friend nor Absalom's. So he went away and settled all his affairs and then hanged himself. That was the end of a traitor. By now, Zadok and Abiathar the priests had sent out the news to David of Absalom's plans. David established himself at Mahanaim in the land of Gad, east of Jordan, to which place he called his supporters from all parts of the country. Before long, he was ready for any attack Absalom might make against him. In the land of the tribe of Gad, David experienced great kindness, and the very first to help him included people who did not belong to the nation of Israel at all. They brought bedding and crockery and food to help the poor people who had had to flee from their own country. Soon everyone felt much better, and soon too warriors were streaming in from all parts to come and fight for the king. Although his army was not as large as Absalom's, he was able to split it into 3 divisions, each commanded by one of his trusty generals, Joab, Abishai, and Ittai. It was David's plan to fight with his armies, but the people would not allow him to go. They knew that Absalom's men would try most of all to kill David. For them, his people would lose heart and his throne would be Absalom's without any further struggle. So David remained back in the towns of Mahanaim to direct operations from there. When the great battle began between his forces and Absalom's in the forest of Ephraim, on that day 20,000 of Absalom's men were killed. Absalom died too. You will remember that Absalom was very proud of his good looks. He was also very proud of his long hair, and it was his long hair that cost him his life. During the battle, he rode on a mule, and meeting a party of David's warriors, he charged under the overhanging branches of a great old oak tree. His hair caught in the branches, and as the mule galloped away, he was left hanging from the tree. Now one of David's men saw this and rushed away to tell Joab the general. When Joab heard, he asked him why he had not killed Absalom. The man replied that they had all heard David tell the 3 generals that no one was to harm his son Absalom. But Joab said, "I have no time to stand and argue with you," and rushed off and himself drove 3 spears into the heart of Absalom while he hung there helpless from the branches of the tree. After that, Joab had the trumpet blown to call back David's men from chasing those who had followed Absalom. Then he had Absalom's body put in a pit in the forest, and a great heap of stones was piled up over it. During his life, Absalom had built for himself a monument in the valley of Kidron on the east of Jerusalem. There he had expected to be buried, but though the monument stood long afterward and was called Absalom's pillar, yet Absalom's body lay not there, but under a heap of stones in the forest of Ephraim. Then the news of his son's death was taken to David. When the man who carried the news came in sight of the city, the watchman on the wall saw him and announced his approach. The man who carried the news was a Cushite, a stranger, and he did not understand how David would feel about Absalom's death. He simply blurted out the whole story, and David was very upset. "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom," David cried. "Would God I had died for thee! O Absalom, my son, my son!" Poor David, though Absalom had rebelled against him and treated him terribly, the young man was still his son. When it was reported to Joab how David was mourning and weeping, he had the victory celebrations turned into a time of mourning for the prince who had died. But then Joab went to David and said, "My king, you are doing a strange thing. Instead of praising the soldiers for what they have done for you, you weep just as if you were on Absalom's side, and your own men have done you a terrible harm. Stand up now and behave in a manly way, and let your soldiers know how pleased you are over the victory they have won, or else they will leave you, and the land will be worse off than it was when Absalom lived." David wisely stood up and went to sit in the city gate as was proper for a king. After that, he led his men back to Jerusalem. The time of Absalom's rebellion was past, and the throne of David was now as strong as it had ever been. And David's last years were years of peace and power.